Hey people, what's going on? Can you hear me? So I'm doing another live stream. Wait a second. I'm gonna do it like this so that you can see me behind the wall. So that behind me there is no like furniture that I usually have. How are you guys? We haven't caught up in a while. I think last time I did a live stream it was from Slovakia. So yeah, it's a bit earlier today, but I just hope some of you will show up. Sorry that I started a bit late. And if you see this live stream, then comment in the chat box and let me know, something like, hey, where are you? What's going on? And stuff like that. Hey, what's up? Salam alaikum. What's going on? Hey, assalamu alaikum. Nice. So today I just wanted to catch up with you guys and talk about an idea that I had recently because I was thinking, I've been a Muslim, alhamdulillah, for a few months, I think 6, 7 months now. And I was wondering about like, what would it be like to be a non-Muslim again? Just from like thinking about my normal life, what would I be doing? And whether it would be like that different. And I think for a lot of you, if you are born Muslim, this is like a thing. I don't know if you've thought about this before, but basically imagine that there is no Allah in your life. So you don't pray, you don't do anything, you don't go to Jummah, you don't eat halal, you eat anything. You can drink alcohol, you can do anything you want. How would you live your life? And of course, it's not like you're gonna go crazy and do everything that's available, because we know people in the West or in secular countries don't do that, most of them. But they do tend to go to these things sometimes. And I came from that environment, so I was just thinking about it like, I've been a Muslim for a while. It is more difficult in like a daily life. So like we were just out with my wife having lunch, and it's a Mexican restaurant and they have good fajitas, they have good chicken, but I can't eat chicken, it's not halal. I need halal meat, so I had to get a vegetarian quesadilla. It was great, but it's just like I'm doing these things all the time, and then I remind myself like, this is nothing, this is like completely nothing, this is not even something you should be bragging about. I'm not bragging about it, but I'm just saying like, it's not even that difficult, but it's already making my life like, you know more difficult in a sense. But yeah, the reason why I'm talking about this is because, a few days ago, I'm not going to expose any sins, but I had something that happened to me, which kind of which took me off for a few seconds from a straight path. It wasn't anything major, but something very small. And I noticed it, and it was just like I had the craziest fear in my life, because after a few hours from that incident, I actually felt how I'm losing the level of iman I was building for a few months. I felt it losing, and I felt that the connection I had with Allah is slowing down. So I was like, man, what do I do quickly? So I performed tauba and everything, but it's very easy. It's very easy to fall into like a minor sin or something like that, but then to come back from that, it's so difficult, and you're risking so much. You've built up so much as a Muslim, in your life, for your hereafter. You have a goal, you have a mission, you know what the life purpose is. You do dhikr, you don't forget about Allah in your daily life. But if you still slip, it's so hard to get back on track, man. Like, how do you guys do it? Because I don't need to hear any of your sins, but have you had this before, where basically what starts to happen is you maybe repeat the sin for a few times and then you enjoy it, but you have Islam that prevents you from enjoying it? Maybe something like, you know there's Islam, and then there's, you enjoy doing that sin, and at some point you have to drop either your sin or Islam. And I think this is how many people go the ex-Muslim route or whatever, because most of the things that they don't like about Islam is that it prevents them from their desires. It prevents them to express their whatever desires they have, maybe animalistic desires, sexual desires, whatever. And or it's very difficult for them to fast and stuff like that. And then I had to remind myself, like, why am I doing this? What's the purpose? And the purpose is grand. The mission is here. We know the mission. It's just something that I felt a tremendous amount of fear. I was like, man, if I everything I have now in my life is Islam, everything. If I lose this, I'm a lost soul. What am I going to do? Just wander around chasing my desires? What kind of life is that? I already lived that. I, I can't go back. I don't want to go back. So it's just something crazy like that. So I was thinking, like, what would it be like to be a non-Muslim again? Just kind of having no direction in life, no point of living. It's very easy to fall into nihilism. But anyways, I've been chatting for a while. Let me look at the chat. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Alaikum salam. Hey Ahmed. Good man. Good man. Do you know Jay Palfrey? I think he's a YouTuber from the UK, right? That does like a travel videos, if I'm not mistaken. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Yes, I think every Muslim goes through this, right? Yeah. And so I think this is something really interesting. Yeah. So what are you guys up to? Tell me, where are you from? What country? What's been happening lately in your ummah? I've been really busy traveling, and I've been in traveling in different countries, um, mainly Turkey, which was awesome. But now I'm back home, and we're trying to do some dawah. We're trying to do something here in Prague. Actually, yesterday we had a lecture at one of the mosques here, but it's just so I'm missing the comprehensive strategy behind doing anything, because I think if you start doing any activities without having a strategic goal in mind, it's all pointless. And I come from a marketing background, so I know, like, whenever you invest in a marketing channel and you expect an outcome, it's never going to work out, because first you need to establish how much revenue you want to generate and work backwards from it, so that you can define the specific amount of money you're going to put into it, so that you reach that goal. It's actually not that difficult if you can predict conversion rates. And the same with Islam. Like, you can have like a funnel of people. Let's say you have an entire population, and you need to think about, like, okay, what's the end goal? How many Muslims do we want here? Or like for example, in Slovakia, we need 50,000 signatures to get a mosque built, right? That's a crazy difficult task. And there's a couple of ways to go around it, but the best is to establish a target. Let's say we want, I don't know, 10,000 shahadas in 5 years, and we want to support for new Muslims so that they stick. So the retention rate, I'm thinking about business because this is what I'm dealing in business, but it's the same concept. The retention rate, once somebody becomes a customer, they don't leave, so they don't churn. So the retention rate has to be high. Therefore, we need to offer the support for new Muslims early on so that they don't leave Deen of Allah, because it's the best thing ever. So and it's the truth. So they can't we have to help them in those first few months, and I'm in those first few months as well, man. So basically, yeah, that has to be built before you start doing any activities, because let's say you convert people and then they just leave Islam, like, it doesn't make sense. So there has to be a structure in place. And I noticed in a lot of European countries, what you have are mosques set up by immigrants, let's say from Egypt, Algeria, maybe someone from Albania, whatever. And they oftentimes disagree amongst each other on how the mosques should look like, or what should be, whatever they want to do. So they separate. So let's say Turkish people have their own mosque, people from Algeria have their own mosque, and these people have their own mosque. And this is what happened in Slovakia or in Czech. And it's so unfortunate. Like, man, this is the ummah, right? Like, why are we splitting into these things? I don't understand it as a convert, but I guess maybe some of you know what it means because you come from that background. It's just a culture baggage you're dragging to this society then. But yeah, it's unfortunate that this happens. And so I think it's up to the locals like me and other people to really forget the born Muslims who are here. Not to forget them, but like, they're not going to help us that much, because they have their own agenda. They are trying to practice Islam for them and their families. They're not doing dawah, they are not doing these things. we need to do it on our own, and there's not many of us. So let's organize, let's have strategy, and let's use the knowledge of born Muslims in our, you know, studying of Islam and stuff like that. So I think that's a good way to go about it. So like, yeah, if you have a goal of, yeah, let's say how many shahadas you want to do, and then you break it down by the number of conversations, how many people you have to approach on the street, or online or whenever, then you can predict the outcome, and it's going to be much better. But you need to then break down the people. So you're, let's say you're talking to 5 different profiles of people. You're talking to a Christian, you're talking to an atheist, you're talking to agnostic, you're talking to someone who's open to the idea of God but not Islam, and then you're talking to whatever other people, right? And so for each of these segments you need to have a different da'i, a different guy or whoever is doing dawah, that knows how to communicate with that target. Because, for example, I don't know how to talk to Christians because I don't know that much about the Bible. Even though I was a Christian, I know the basics, but I would much rather prefer to speak with atheists or people who don't have God in their life than to talk to Christians, even though they might be easier to convert. But it's just, yeah, I'm just thinking about so many things, so many ideas, and I'm missing like an organization. And I notice this is the case in a lot of European countries. I don't know. So this was just a small rant. Egypt. I would love to go there. Jin is saying, Salam alaikum. I think I would be some filthy channer. So basically, if you would be a non-Muslim, you would be a filthy channer. What does that mean? Anyways, I guess you're saying, yeah, that you would be very easily straight. Yeah. Yeah, it's, you get these, you have, what do you call this, like when you do a bad thing, you have this voice in your head that reminds you like, oh, this isn't good. That's your fitra, right? As a non-Muslim, you don't know you have fitra, but everybody has it. So otherwise the society would break down, everybody would be killing each other. But we don't do this because, first of all, there's a law. Second of all, people know intuitively they shouldn't kill other people, and different things, right? So yeah, whenever you go beyond the norm in a society, or you indulge in your desires but really crazy, you should feel ashamed. The concept of shame is really important. And so whenever a society stopped feeling shameful, let's say you would go out on the street and you would see people masturbate. There was actually a lot of cases now in over here when a guy in a train was doing this, and then another guy in a bus, and people are just filming them and stuff. So it's like that should be behavior punished, whether not for a prison, but like you get a fine or whatever. It depends on whatever. I'm not talking about Sharia, I'm talking about normal law somewhere in a secular country. But everybody recognizes that that behavior is not great for a society. Come on, man, have some decency. But what is decency? Why should they feel the shame, right? And then where does the shame end? So that's obviously over the line doing this on a public, but like where do you end the shame? So when you masturbate at home, is that okay, or do you still feel the shame? And what it depends, like what you watch, or you don't watch anything. It's like so many levels of shame, right? So it's very easy to start with something very small, something really small, like I'm just gonna do this. Hey, I'm not doing it on public, I'm not doing it here. It's just really small, and then it just grows because your lust is going exponentially high, and you just end up in some crazy place. There's a great story of, I think it's Basira Barisa. um, Brother Mohammed Hoblos has it on YouTube. Barbis, I don't know now, but it's a story of a man who was worshiping Allah, and 3 brothers came to him to they went to jihad, to war, and they gave him their sister to watch after, so he takes care of her while they are gone. And he refused. This is like, no, this is haram, like I shouldn't be with her in one house, like clearly there's going to be something happening opposite gender, right? So they basically accommodated her in a different house, and they just talked through a window, so they didn't see each other. But it was very one time I think he thought like, oh, she's very alone, I'm just gonna bring her a soup. So he brought her a soup, and then he saw her, they started chatting. Then another day it went further, they started talking, then they started touching and started laughing. And as quick as you know, zina happened. And it started very, he recognized this is shaitan, this is from shaitan, like I shouldn't do this. But it was very subtle, and it increased. And then he did the zina. Now she fell pregnant. Then the brothers were coming back from a war, so he decided he's gonna kill her and the baby, because they would kill him if they realized that he did this to the sister. They left her with him. And so basically he killed the baby and her and buried them, and then told the brothers that she fell sick and she basically died. And they believed him, but they had a dream, and all three of them dreamt about the same thing, that that he killed her, this guy Barsisa, or I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right. And then he buried her in some place, I don't know where exactly. And so they went to the place and they dug up the corpse, and they realized it's the truth. So then they knocked on his door and came to him and took him to a ruler and said like he needs to be killed, like he killed our sister and the baby. And at that time I think shaitan appeared to him and he made sajda to him. And basically the story is like, you can go from a very great Muslim, really like you're doing everything, you recognize haram, you do this, but you just need to open doors like this, like this, like this, like this. And as soon as you open that, it's mayhem. And that's the beauty of Islam, it prevents this behavior from start. So women and men are separated, they don't see each other. This means it even prevents to start this behavior. Or riba, you can't take riba, because even if you take a small amount, it creates let's say a precedent for a new bid'ah, for a new invention in banking. So you cut the behavior in the beginning. Same for a lot of things like drugs, harsh punishments, right? Because those things create precedents, and then they go like waves through a society. And so if we're trying to protect society, this makes sense. And it's just a very powerful story how you can really lose your deen. And so don't take it lightly. I've been like, hey, alhamdulillah, I'm a Muslim, but it's like I am now, but it's not, I'm not sure. It's never 100% that you're gonna die as a Muslim. You can, like, in 20 years a lot of things can happen. So every day 5 daily prayers, every day doing those things, because one day you skip, one prayer you skip, one thing you miss, and that can be an opening for who to come and see you and give you a crazy pleasure or a crazy whatever chance to misguide you. And it sounds corny, it sounds like, come on man, you're over, you know you're being harsh. It's the truth. It's the truth. How do people get hooked on drugs? They start with small things. When I started to smoke, I started with like a one cigarette and it didn't taste well. Why didn't I stop? Because I don't know. I had friends who did that, and then we did it more and more and more, and then I became hooked on it. Um, but it graduates from these things, and so it's the best to cut the behavior. The problem is if you live in a society that allows this behavior, and then so you have this problem that at home you're trying to raise your family with some values, but then the society doesn't care about them. So that's the challenge. Hey, but with Allah we can change this. So man, I'm ranting today. But that's I think it's very easy to become a filthy human being if you don't have Allah in your life. Very easy. I'm not saying everybody's gonna do this. Of course there are many good people in the world. Good people, I mean, they are moral, they behave well, and they are not Muslim, and it's okay. But it's easier because you don't have this God consciousness, this taqwa. So that means whenever you do something, let's say you watch a porn, I'm not promoting anything, but let's say you do that and you don't feel ashamed after watching it, well then you have a problem because it's going to graduate. And all these things, I'm trying, sometimes we're trying too hard to preach or do dawah, but we forgot to check our own deen. And then I look at myself like, man, I'm falling behind here in all these areas. I'm trying to eat halal, but I ate this chicken here or whatever. Like all these small things you have to keep in check. So first and foremost, we have to have our own deen in check, because yeah, the purpose of our life is to establish deen in ourselves and deen in others, but first deen in ourselves. And I'm still trying to do this. Now I finally feel that, I'm confident saying I'm a Muslim, but it's not easy. Not easy. But subhanallah, my friend from Kashmir, what's the situation in your country now? Tell us about that. Is that in India, right? Um, may Allah give you sifa. Assalamu alaikum. Yes. It is a complete mess here. Indian army had occupied every corner, and they even put their collaborators behind bars lately. Crazy stuff around the world's happening. Yeah. I don't know. The more I look into these injustices around the world, the more I'm like depressed. It doesn't help. So I know the situation. It's not the best to ignore it, but really, there's so many things to do, and I can see it on YouTube when I'm targeted with different ads. Like there's so many people that need help. I can't help everybody, so inshallah, it's gonna be well. Hopefully. Uh, you create those resources as Muslim Christian. They don't exist outside your mind. Human beings should explore their full potential. Mubashir Hassan. Okay. Why do you say they don't exist outside your mind? That's strange. That's a strange idea. I've heard this story from Shay Green. Yep, Satan gonna mislead us bit by bit. Yeah, yeah. It's a really powerful story. So, uh, it's really easy. You don't have to put efforts to become a filthy human being. The thing is, yeah, exactly. Like that's why you see it's much easier to be a non-Muslim. Let's say not much easier, but it requires much less effort to do nothing and to just eat whatever, drink whatever, do whatever, um, wake up at whatever time. And as a Muslim, you have always the conscious, you're always reminding yourself of Allah, and you're always, praying 5 times a day. So this always keeps you in check. But if you lose this, like 2 3 days, and you are depressed, I'm telling you, because you'll be thinking of, okay, what do I want to do in my life? This is what I was doing. Like, what do I want to do in my life? Okay, I want to build a startup that is valued at $1 billion, like random crazy ideas. And it's like, why? There's no like reason to do anything. Only in your mind you figure out the goal. Let's say I want to become, I don't know, maybe for some of you, I want to be a YouTuber that has millions of subscribers, or I want to be, I don't know, famous or do something. And it's like, why? What's the purpose? It doesn't make any sense if you think about it deeply. And so I would get into this spiral of thought and then depression, because I would see that there is no reason to do anything. Um, Either way, whether we look at it from cosmological perspective, as I described in one of my videos, where the universe is going to end and even our galaxy is going to merge with another galaxy. So like at some point this entire galaxy will not exist, and everything will become meaningless. So anything, even if you go outside of the planet and you go to Mars and extraplanetary species exist, it's meaningless. It's all going to be destroyed. So what is the purpose then? And so it's just so great to be a Muslim. It gives you the it gives you the purpose in life, and the goal in life, and the mission. But the price you have to pay is, it's not easy. But the for people who are struggling with this, it's a great it's a great thing. It's a great thing because I used to struggle with it a lot. And so I would never go back for a few desires that I could explore. It's not worth it. Yeah, I think you're a troll, right? You're not missing out. You're not missing out. Because what is happiness? You're not defining the terms, right? So, first of all, the rules are coming from Allah. He's all knowing. So, there's one thing that should be enough for Muslims. The other thing, if you're not a Muslim, you're operating with the liberal mindset of increasing your happiness and pleasure. And so, if we can just describe it on a simple example, let's say you eat a cake and you enjoy cake, and you eat another cake, and you eat a third cake and a fourth cake. What's going to happen? You will not enjoy that cake anymore. You will become fat because there was a only you had the inclination to eat that one sugar cake, but you ate more because you couldn't stop yourself, because it's increasing your pleasure, but it's also decreasing everything else. Like long-term effects are very bad from eating that much. Or if you don't work out, the same thing happens. So in this life, in this world, um, anything where you go and chase your desires, maybe it starts nice, but eventually you'll come to a point they don't produce any happiness for you. So chasing your happiness, which means your desires, because happiness is only subjective. So my desire is to watch a lot of porn. So is that good for me? Is it good for me? It's not good for me. Everybody can agree, but I'm still gonna do it. Like, that's why you need the rules and restrictions. Do you understand? How can you have this mindset like, I'm just gonna follow my happiness? Well, how do you know your happiness leads to actually happiness? Because there are objective standards. Even as non-Muslim, we realize the harm in alcohol or the harm in watching pornography or something. There's many negative effects. Yes, there's a positive one as well. If you get alcohol, you're drunk, you have this joyful yay for a few hours, and then it smashes into massive hangover, and then you steal, you fight and do all these things as a negative consequence. That's why the negative outweigh the benefit. Also, the porn, it's good for the beginning. Maybe you enjoy it, but long term you will start. It will mess up your sexuality. So this is really important to keep in check. That's why these rules are the most important thing in the world. But anyways, if you are not open to hearing it, it doesn't make sense to to discuss. So guys, what should we talk about? This was just something I was struggling with. Some of my next videos, I'm gonna speak with Angel again this week. I will have him on the podcast, so that's gonna be awesome. And I will have a person from Canada talking about street dawa, so that's gonna be amazing as well. Other than that, I'm gonna have a video about like halal shops in Prague and mosques and different things and stuff like that. Uh, Everything can be done in moderation. No, it can't. Study psychology. You can't do in moderation some stuff because you're opening a door for non-moderate behavior. So if you say everything can be done in moderation, then everybody would be drinking just one glass of wine. Why do people buy bottles of wine? Why do people get drunk? Why don't people just stop at one beer? And I'm not talking from theory, I'm talking from experience. I couldn't stop at one beer. I would have 5 or 6 or 7, and I know every one of my friends did. So don't tell me these things that you can be moderate with your pleasure. Of course you can't. You will always overstimulate your pleasure because you can't stop it. It creates dopamine release, and it creates these uh, nerve connections in your brain to do more of that behavior, but it creates less pleasure over time. So you're trying to do something, it doesn't make sense, man. You should be the judge. Yeah, I mean, you can think of that, but again, you're in a wrong stream. This is not where we judge our own things. uh, so yeah, anyways, let's not engage in this discussion because we're gonna have a lot of back and forth about nothing. So yeah, I'll have a couple of streams, and then we'll do stuff. We'll do stuff. It's gonna be interesting. Maybe we'll film some street dawa. And yeah, I just want to know if we can, have like a local ummah that doesn't depend on foreign like influence or immigrants, but can really grow, so that maybe we can have a khutbah or jumma in our language after a dua is made. So it's all these things are important because people don't then understand the message. It has to be uh, also translated locally. It has to work within our culture. Um, it's important because you perceive differently if somebody tells you something and they don't look like you, they don't speak like you have nothing in common with them. You don't look at the messages the same way as if somebody who looks like you tells you it, even it's the same message. So um yeah, that's that's the way it is. Guys, don't engage in that, man. Why are you responding to these comments? I told you it's pointless. Like, you can see it's pointless. Some like fighting on YouTube is so pointless that whoever engages in it, Muslim or non-Muslim, they are not thinking. Because you will never convince somebody through a YouTube comment. It's impossible that you will change my mind through a YouTube comment or a chat in a chat box. So, like, this person who said that we should follow our whatever, our potential, you will never convince them. So it's pointless to even engage because he's gonna have his mind and you will have your mind, and it's gonna be impossible to even resolve. So it's better if we just say, hey, thanks for coming, and it's good. But it's really impossible to argue, through a YouTube comment. Like, think about it. How can somebody, even whatever argument you have you actually in your life, if somebody wrote on YouTube something as a comment, have you actually taken it seriously as a response to you? It's always negative. It's always insulting. Like, I don't really like this behavior. And it comes from both sides. So it's better to stay away from this and only engage in these discussions or debates if every side is open to hear other people's arguments. So, I'm not here to debate anything today because this is not a place for a debate. This is a live stream. I'm just chatting with you about my life. But if there's a debate, and not a debate like a really attacking debate, but let's say somebody's open to hear about something, they want to know, for example, why does Islam allow 4 wives? Good question. I'll tell you why. Are you open to hear it? Okay. But some people who ask that are not open to hear it. They just want to hear your point and destroy it. So that doesn't make sense then. So we have to just engage with people who are open, because that's who I used to be. I used to be very close-minded about Islam. I would attack it from every angle. Anything that anybody would say, I would already have a, like, back in my mind, I would have already like a preconceived notion about who they are. So it's better to just say, like, wait until that person kind of opens their mind, which means they're just gonna be listening to you, nothing else, not agreeing, just listening to what you have to say without any agenda. Subhanallah. Not everyone has your wisdom. I have no wisdom. Many people like to argue through Prophet Muhammad. Don't argue. The hadith said, heaven is for those who left arguing, even if his opinion was right. I mean, there's a fine line, right? How do you determine arguing, right? Is there a place, like, if we look at the society today and you look at some arguments or debates, not just online, in real life, um, oftentimes they are not real. So let's take an example of US elections, Democrats, Republicans. Each of them have a talking point, each of these political parties, and they don't listen to each other. So these people have to want to promote, I don't know, abortions. These people are some Christians who want to do something else. I don't know. And it's just these two groups never hear each other. Uh, and it's so toxic. And this is how our society works. So I don't know. I think we have to respect other people's opinions. Of course, everybody has, everybody can think what they want to think, but there are ways to get to the truth, whether through non-religious things like philosophical arguments. If you want to look into different philosophies, you can find some bits and pieces of truth, Or then we can say, like, okay, the truth lies in different religions or different ways of life. And this is the debate we should be having. So the most important discussion in the entire world for a politician, for a businessman, for a young child, for an old lady is to figure out, okay, is this life all that there is? So meaning, when I die, is something gonna happen, or is that it? Why are we even asking that question is important? Because animals don't ask that question, because we've heard from Christians that this happens, or from Muslims, or different theories. But why? Because we feel there's something above. There's something, like, I'm dreaming. Why do I have dreams? Why am I not in this reality all the time? Why am I sometimes thinking about something? What is thinking? Why am I doing this? What are feelings? How can I feel something? You don't perceive that feeling, but I feel, let's say I feel pain right now, but I look like this. You don't know what I feel. I don't know what you feel. It's crazy. Sometimes these things are crazy to explain. Um, you feel nostalgic. What is this? Why do I have this feeling? Um, and so we know there's something going on in this life. We just don't know what it is. So maybe there's nothing or something, but what is that something? I don't know. So I think that's the most important question. Like, is there anything after you die? Because even if you don't agree on anything, everyone in this world agrees on one thing. Everyone, from a murderer to a pope to a sheikh to an atheist, they all agree on one thing: we are all gonna die. By the way, every single one of us is gonna die at some point in the future. We know that. That everybody knows that. So let's start from that point. So you know you're gonna die. All right. So what's the point of life? Easy. What's the point of life if you know you will die and everything you did is meaningless? You will only have, let's say, some kids or something who will continue, like, your bloodline. You had reproduce, but your life ends. And, like, what was the reason behind it? So, like, all these questions are fundamental to understand if there is anything beyond. And so I think a lot of humans, almost every tribe, every ethnicity, everyone was trying to figure that out. So whether it's meditation, Buddhism, philosophy, Christianity, Islam, whether through revelation or through pondering, like Buddha or whatever, everybody was trying to meditate and get to a place where to think about, like, life, like, what is life? Because you're in life right now, you are inside of it, but what is actually life? It's illogical, because no one even knows what life is. No one knows what life is. If I have a robot who looks like me, who behaves like me, who does everything like me, and I sit him next to me and I kill him, did I just kill myself, or is this just a robot? Well, it's technically a robot, but what was the difference between him and I? We had the same movement, same body, same everything. It's this. What is this? It's this, what is it? It's consciousness. Is it soul? That thing. And so, what is that thing? Um, we can't create it in a lab. We can't manufacture it. It's not tangible, but it's something divine. It's in us, all of us. So that light, whatever, I'm becoming like preachy now, but that light is, everyone knows that it exists because everybody is conscious. So we all know we have this kind of thing in us. And so it's impossible to live your life without pondering over these things, because if you don't, then it will lead you to depression or something. So yeah. And so then we just need to figure out, why don't we sit down, all of us, and say, okay, we all feel this consciousness, we all feel this energy, we all feel this thing, whether everybody calls it different. Muslims, what do you know about it? Now we tell them, okay, there's Allah, there's this. Okay, good idea. Now Christians, tell us your idea. Now these people, tell us your idea. Now atheists, nothing. Now agnostic. Now everybody says an idea, and then we vote, like, who has the best idea? Muslims, of course. But it's not an idea, because there's a truth. Obviously, it has to be, from a logical perspective, some of these things have to be true or closer to the truth than others. So we can, by process of elimination, we can figure out, okay, this doesn't make sense, this is too crazy, this is like This doesn't provide any answers. This then creates there's contradictions here. Okay, this seems okay, but why? There's a problem. And so you have these things, and then you come across, and then everybody becomes Muslim. No, but you can do that, right? You can do that. I mean, everybody would have to be open in that scenario, which is impossible, because this is a scenario that will never happen. That world leaders will sit down and discuss the purpose of their life. This will never happen, but it is important to happen. So if they are not going to do it, we have to do it bottom up. So doing local dawah, we have to talk to people one on one, because the people who run society will not do it. So if I was a politician, or if I was a businessman or something, I would be always asking, not businessman, I am a business, but like a famous person in society, I would be always, if I had a chance to be on some media, I would always ask people, okay, now the most important thing in your life is to figure out, why are you here? Why are you here? And I would not tell them why, but like, just ask those questions. And no, but have you ever heard a politician or somebody who's in charge of like something in your country ask, like, okay, what is the purpose of your life? What happens when we die? And they never do these things, because they are just concerned with this dunya, with this making money and stuff. But like, we all know this is trivial. So they are not gonna do it. It's up to us, man. We have to go out there and just talk to people and open their hearts. So once you open their hearts, you can show them the truth. And so, mashallah, that's my stream today. That's what I wanted to do. Jan, so you target people, is people in Prague or in Slovak? It's both. So I'll start in Prague because I live here. There's already mosques and stuff. It's better infrastructure. So I just want to practice here, do some dawah, basic dawah, not advanced, of course. And then, because it's cringe. Really, it's cringe. If like someone like 50, 60-year-old sheikh is doing dawah, it's cringe here, because they are like Arabic. It doesn't work. People don't care. People don't care about it. So you have to have someone like local who can quickly think about things, and doesn't really have to be deep in Islam, but just can kind of convey the message. My target is, yeah, I mean, it's both. I feel like 20% Czech, 80% Slovak, because my dad is from Czech and some parts of my family, but I'm actually like Slovak for sure. That's where I'm gonna live. But I feel part of me lives in Prague and part of me is Czech, and I kind of speak the language as well. So I want to help them as well. I see it as one ummah, one Czechoslovak ummah, because we were one nation. One nation. Yes, Kashmir, take care. So, guys, thank you for a stream. It's just something I've been thinking about. You know, always remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing. It's important to really come back to the basics sometimes, because we get too caught up in the small things, trivial things, like this guy's Salafi, this guy's this guy's Shia, whatever. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Is the purpose of your life to collect money, to buy a house, to have sex with many people? What is the purpose of your life? That's the question. Always keep it on your mind, so that you can always come back to the ultimate source. Anyways, it was great to speak with you, and I will be in touch next week. And hopefully, I don't know, I'll have some new videos ready as well. So thank you for being on stream, and let's catch up at some other time in the future, inshallah. Thank you for being so polite, guys. Even Mubashir Hassan, thanks for stopping by. So thank you, and have a great weekend. See you later. Bye-bye.